Hi, now in this video we are going to see how we can create an event organization smart contract project. Now our event organization smart contract project will consist of three entities. First one will be the organizer who will be organizing an event, and then we will have attendee who will be attending the event. Now in order to attend this event, attendee need to buy some tickets, and attendee will also be having this facility of transferring the tickets that he has brought to any other address. So let's now go to our Remix ID and code this event organization smart contract. So now let us start with our event contract. So first of all, we will create one struct, okay, by the name of event. And in this struct will have the address of the organizer, the person who will be organizing this particular event, then the name of the event, date of this event, price of this event, and ticket count. Okay, and then we will have the number of tickets that are remaining. Okay, so ticket remaining. Okay, now after this we will create one mapping, and this mapping will be from uint to event struct that we have created. Now this mapping will actually have the details of all the event that are being created. So it will contain the details of all the events that are being created. We will again create one more nested mapping. Okay, so this time we will create a nested mapping, address to mapping, and this will be from uint to uint, and then we will make this public tickets. Okay, now this will actually have the information regarding the tickets of an event, and which you will understand once we will start coding our smart contract. So just don't worry about it. And now we will have one more variable by the name of public next id. Okay, now we will create one function which will actually help us in creating an event. So create event, and inside this we will have called data, name of the event, then okay, not actually date will be in uint, so date of an event, price of an event, and then we will have the ticket count, and we will make this public. Okay. Now in order to create an event, first of all, we will check that the block.timestamp is, I will say the block.timestamp is less than date or not. Means we are actually making sure that whatever date that we are going to pass inside this create event, we will make sure that this date should be greater than the block.timestamp. Because if it is not greater than the block.timestamp, means the event has already ended. So we will throw an error that you cannot create an event for past date. Okay, means the date that has already been passed, you cannot create an event for that particular date. Then we will also check for the ticket count, that ticket count should be greater than 0. Otherwise, we will throw an error that ticket count must be greater than 0. And it makes sense also, right, that there should be an event cannot have 0 tickets. Otherwise, who will attend that particular event, right? And then what we will do is we will use our events mapping, and inside this we will have the next ID, and then we will simply insert the event details. So event message.sender, the person who will be calling this particular function will be the organizer. So we will take message.sender. Okay, and then we will have the name of the event, date of the event, and in this date we will add the block.timestamp. Okay, or no, we cannot do that, right? Because we are actually passing this date like this, so we cannot do that. Let me remove this. We need to pass the total time in this date field, right? So yeah, and then we will have the price of the event, and then ticket count, and then the ticket remaining, and the ticket remaining and ticket count will be the same, so I can have ticket count here. Okay, means what I'm trying to say here is that I can also have when an event is created, so during the time of the creation of an event, at that time there will be 0 remaining tickets, right? So what I mean to say here is that during the creation of an event, the number of remaining ticket and the number of total tickets will be the same, right? Because no one has actually brought the event ticket. So the total count of the remaining ticket will also be equal to the total number of tickets. So that's why I'm providing ticket count in the starting. And then what we will do is we will increase the ID so that for the next event, we have a different unique, or I will say a unique ID, right? And after this, we will create one more function by the name of buy ticket. And in this, we will mention the ID of the ticket, means ID of an event, and then we will mention the quantity of the quantity of the ticket that we want to brought for this particular event. We will make this public, and since it is something related to the buying, we will have the payable function so that anyone who wants to buy the ticket then directly send money to the smart contract. First of all, we will check whether events ID dot date is not equal to 0, because it will mean that event does not exist. Event does not exist. Because initially, if you will see, when there will be an event created, right, or when there will be no event created for a particular ID, in that case, initially the date field will be 0 because we are using struct, and initially all the fields of the struct will be according to their data type. And in the date, since the date is of uint data type, so initially it will be 0 if there are no events. So that's what we are checking for. So if events id.date is not equal to 0, then we are going to the next line. Otherwise, we are going to throw an error that event does not exist. Let me show you this with the help of an example. So this is our event, right? This is our event: admin, name, date, price, ticket count, and ticket remaining. Now, once we have created this events mapping, what we have in the Solidity background, or I will say in the background, what is actually going on is that we have a mapping like this, right? Okay, this is the mapping for the events, right? Let me go back. Okay, it's good. So once we will do this, we will have a mapping like this, and this mapping will consist of uint as the key and event as the value. And this uint will be of 0, 1. This will be the next IDs, right, that we are actually having inside our mapping. So events next ID, and then this events next ID will be pointing towards a event, right? So when we are saying that events 0 or when we are saying events 1, we are actually pointing towards these events. And when we are saying that events 0 dot date, what we are trying to say here is that event 0, which is actually pointing towards this, we have to fetch the date of this particular event, that is this thing. And if we are saying that events 1 dot date, we are actually fetching this particular thing. And initially what I'm trying to say here is that initially this date field, this name field will be according to their data type, because if there are no events, in that case, the structure will consist of the initial value of the data types, right? So name will be empty, date will be 0, price will be 0 because these are uint type and this is a struct type, string type. So accordingly, we will have the initial value. So here also, when we are doing this events id.date not equal to 0, we are actually making sure that there must exist some event for the ticket to buy for. Okay, then we will again check events id.date should be greater than the block.timestamp. Means the event has not ended. Event, otherwise we will throw an error that event has ended. Okay, and then we will create an event type variable storage, and it will be an event type variable. This will actually help us in pointing towards our mapping. So events id. So now this event variable will start pointing towards this particular field, and this particular field will actually consist of this struct, right? Because this is a mapping, and we have seen that this mapping is actually pointing towards an struct, right? Because this is from uint to an event type. And now we will again do a required statement where we will check whether the message.value, means the amount that is paid by the buyer, is equal to the events dot price into quantity. Otherwise, we will throw an error that ether is not enough. So what we are trying to do here is that we are checking what is the price of one ticket, and then we are multiplying it with the quantity, the number of tickets that this person wants to buy. And if this amount and these amounts are equal, then only we are going to pass. Otherwise, we will throw an error. Okay, we have some issue here. Let me check. Okay, I think it is event. Okay. Yeah, now it is good. And once we will pass this condition, we will check for other thing, that is event dot ticket remaining should be greater than equal to the quantity, right? Because if the number of tickets remaining for a particular event are less, in that case we will not be able to buy tickets, right? So we will throw an error that not enough tickets left. Okay, and then we will again have our event dot ticket remaining minus the quantity. So if this condition also pass, then we are going to subtract from the remaining tickets the quantity that has been brought for, and then we will enter this information in the tickets nested mapping. So message.sender, and for this particular ID we will increase the number of quantity. So what we are actually doing here is we are simply using the nested mapping. Let me show you this with the help of an example. Since we have constructed this nested mapping, and I have told you in my Solidity tutorial that whenever there is a nested mapping, just imagine that nested mapping as a 2D array, right? So here also I'm imagining this nested mapping as a 2D array, which will look something like this. So on the left hand side, we will have the addresses, this particular thing. So address 1, address 2, and address 3. And for this uint and uint, we will have this uint in the starting, means this will be the ID part. Okay, ID1, ID2, and so on. I'm just demonstrating a 2 cross 3 2D array, but definitely it can be a 3 cross 3 or whatever you want to think of, right? You have to just imagine it as a 2D array. And inside this, we will have the number of tickets. So let's say if address 1 is buying a ticket for ID 1. So tickets address 1 ID 1. So we will fill that information inside this particular box. And in the same way, let's say some address 3 wants to buy a ticket for ID 2. So for an event that is whose ID is 2, so we will fill that information inside this particular mapping. And why we have created this nested mapping? We have created this nested mapping because a particular address or a single address can brought tickets for many events, right? It is not mandatory that a particular address will buy ticket for a single event only. So he can buy tickets for many events. So that's why address 1 in this case, as you can see, can buy ticket for ID 1 as well as for ID 2. In the same way, address 2 can buy ticket for ID 1 and ID 2, and address 3 can also buy tickets for ID 1 and ID 2. Okay, but definitely it can be more than there can be more than one IDs, right? There can be more than two events. So there can be ID 3, ID 4, and ID 5, but we are not mentioning here because it will just increase the length of this array. But I hope you understood this concept, because I have discussed the same concept in the nested mapping part also of the Solidity. And if you still are not able to get this particular concept, I will advise you to watch the nested mapping video that I have created in the Solidity tutorial. Okay, so now by this we are actually saying that message.sender means the person who has actually called this particular function is buying ticket for this particular ID, and this is the total number of quantity of tickets that he has brought for. Now we will again create one more function by the name of transfer ticket, with the help of which we can transfer ticket. So we will have to mention the event ID, means the ticket for which we have brought the ticket for, the quantity, and the address of the person to whom we want to transfer this ticket. And we will again make this public or external, whatever you think, right? You can mention that. Now again, we will check for these two things. Let me Now again, we will check for these two things. So let me copy these down. Okay. And now we will again, now what we will do, we will check for the tickets part. So the person who is actually transferring the tickets, we need to check whether he has enough amount of tickets or not. So it should be greater than the quantity. Otherwise, we will throw an error that you do not have enough tickets to transfer. Okay. And if this is true, in that case, we will decrease the amount of tickets from the message.sender value. So minus quantity, and we will increase the number of tickets for the to address, and ID, we will increase it to the quantity that has been transferred. Okay, now by this we will be able to transfer ticket to some other address as well. Now it's time to check our smart contract, whether our smart contract is working in a correct way or not. So let me go and let me deploy this. Okay, so this is our smart contract, and let us create an event. So to create an event, I need to mention the date as well, right? So let me go to Unix timestamp, Unix epoch time. This will actually provide us with the timestamp. So currently, if you will see, the timestamp is this, right? So what we will do is we will have this value. Okay, and let me increase this value to, let's say, by 1000 seconds. Okay, so by increasing it to 1000 seconds, it will be, or by what I can do is I can increase it to 3600 seconds. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make sure that this particular smart contract is active, or this particular event, not actually smart contract, this particular event is active for 1 hour. Okay, so that's why this value and this value addition. And then we will have the description of an event, and it can be, let's say, movie. Okay, and the price is, let's say, 10 Wei, and the ticket count is, let's say, 100. So now I'm creating this event. This address is creating this event. So transact. Okay, I think I made some mistake. Let me check. What is the issue here? Let me check the issue. I think the issue is with this. I made some mistake here, I think. So let me do one thing. Just let me, I know this will not give a correct value, but this will actually give us an estimated value. We can improve the logic. We can improve the logic as well, so don't worry. But for now, let me have this only. Okay, now let me do transact. Okay, now this is successful. Now we can check for the event. Let me check event 0. So this is the organizer, this is the ticket count, this is the total ticket remaining, and this is the price, and this is the date. Okay, so this is the time of the event. Now what we will do is we will buy one ticket. So let's say this AB8 wants to buy some ticket. So he will go for the buy ticket option. He will mention the ID. So 0. And let's say he wants to buy 10 tickets. So 1, 0. Now, since the cost of one ticket, if you will see, is 10 Wei, right? So he need to provide a price of 100 Wei, right? So that he can buy 10 tickets. So one quantity is 10 Wei. So one ticket cost, if you will see, one ticket cost 10 Wei, right? So 10 Wei, the price of one ticket, and he wants to buy 10 tickets. So he need to pay 10 into 10, right? So he will mention 100 Wei here, 100 Wei, and he will do transact. Let me check the address. Yes, transact. So this is successful. So now if we will go and check for the remaining tickets, you will see now this particular address has only, like, not this particular address, this, the number of remaining tickets is 90, right? Because 10 tickets has been brought down by this particular address, this one. Okay, Now let us check whether this address has some tickets or not. So for that, we will go to our transfer ticket, not actually transfer ticket, but to our tickets part, this nested mapping. We will mention the address. Let me mention the address and the ID of the event, which is 0, right? So when we will check, you will see that he has brought, this particular address has brought of ID 0, 10 tickets. Okay. And let's say we want to check whether the transfer ticket function is working or not. So let's check that as well. Let me select this address. Okay. And let's say this AB8 wants to transfer 5 tickets to this particular address, that is 04B2. So let me do that. Let me mention the ID 0, the quantity 5, let's say, and the address is this. Now let me do transact. So this is successful. Now if you will check the number of tickets which are left by this particular address, you can clearly see it is 5. And now we can have the address to whom this particular AB8 has transferred the tickets, right? Let us check whether he has received 5 tickets or not. Call, and now it is also having 5 tickets. So with this, we have completed our smart contract where we have seen how to create an event, how to buy ticket for an event, and how to transfer ticket to some other address using the transfer ticket function that we have created inside our event organization smart contract. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Meet you soon in the next video.